Hey, it's me. Happy Friday. How's your week been? Oh, I've had a busy week. And I've had an interesting week. There's a lot of conflict around at the moment, man. I keep noticing conflict. And I don't know whether it's just in my world, but I've been talking to a lot of people this week who are in kind of conflicting states. So they're either like conflicted legally, like arguing about something, or like in a relationship, break-uppy, kind of like, I want this and I don't want that. And in work worlds, just really conflicted. And I've spoken to 4 sets of people who are all have a problem with the other person, right? So not necessarily couples, but just sets of 2 people. And so like 2 business owners in conflict, and I've spoken to them both. And a couple that are in the middle of a breakup, and I've spoken to them both. And so I've had 4 sets of that. So 8 individual humans. And there's been a theme, and I'm just really intrigued because both of them are right in all the situations. So in each situation, all 8 people are right. And yet they're all arguing. And it's so interesting because their versions of what's going on are completely different. So even though they're apparently going through the same thing and together and communicating, they're seeing it from completely different perspectives. And I'm like, wow, like my version of something and your version of something can be completely different, even if we're in the same room at the same time, right? Because it's like, what do we make that mean? Or how did we get that to that end? And what is that? What am I making you out to be? Or what are you making me out to be? And there's all that shit. I love the Karpman triangle of around the drama, the drama triangle of, are you a persecutor and you're growling at someone, or are you a victim and you're going, oh no, you did this to me? Or are you the rescuer going, no, I'll fix it, I'll make you better. And I think in all dramas, there's those 3 roles. And interestingly, when I first learned about the Karpman triangle, I remember thinking, oh, where am I? And the goal was not to be in any of the corners. You don't want to be a victim. You definitely don't want to be a persecutor. And you also don't want to be a rescuer. And rescuers, and I've been one a lot, trust me, I've done a fucking PhD in rescuing. I'm really good at it. Rescuers, we like to go, oh, yes, I'm amazing because I fixed them. And it's like, no, that's not your fucking job. That's not your job. Your job is to get out of the triangle. But what I'm interested in is if you interview the people involved, they've all got different stories, and often they're all right. And I love the idea. One of my favorite things to do is a thing I call shoe shifting. And I remember once I was in a little conflict with someone, and I thought, okay, fuck, hang on a minute. And I thought, what if I stepped out of my body and I took off my shoes and I put your shoes on? How would that feel, and what would that look like? And what are you thinking? Like my story is, you're a bastard and you don't want to buy the property I want to buy. And I'm like, that's my story. And then when I hop into your shoes, I'm going, oh, you're scared and you don't think this is going to work, and you have so much fear, and you that's the perspective. And it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of it from that angle. Do you know what I mean? As an example, like I'm just making that up. So that's not a very good example. But it's like, what is the story? So there's a story, and then there's what you're telling yourself. And then it's like, and what are they telling themselves? So it's something I do all the time now. If I'm pissed off with someone, I go, hang on, so how are they saying this? They're seeing this as you've just fucking shut the door on them, kicked them out. You're not talking to them, and they're feeling really sad and lonely. And you're going, yeah, but I kicked them out because they were a prick. And they're like, yeah, but they're still sad and lonely. Apparently pricks can be sad and lonely, right? And you're like, so what's your story and what's their story? And I'm just really interested, and I've just had so much of it this week. And I think it's really interesting to look at, so what's your story about this and what's my story? And I think sometimes it's really worthwhile to say to someone, okay, so my story in this is that you're being really difficult and you don't want me to have what I want. And so what's your story? And they go, no, that's not my story at all. My story is I feel really stressed and anxious, and I'm not able to support this because it's giving me anxiety. So it's nothing to do with me stopping you having what you want. And you're like, because we get so fucking self-absorbed, don't we? so self-important and involved around what happened and what did you make it mean. And I'm really interested in that. Like, how's the other person feeling? And I think when we can think about things from multi-angles, one of the reasons I think it's really exhausting being me, because I always look at everything from everyone's angle, right? So, oh my God, what's it like? What's it like for you to have a problem with another person? What's it like to be the other person? What's it like to be the parent of the other person? What's it like if you employ that person? Like, all of those things, it's like, oh God. And how, what's the perspective? Because when you think of it, all problems are multifaceted, aren't they? They're multifaceted. And depending on which side of the room you're on or which corner you're on, you've got a different response and a different view. And I really like the idea that our experiences of people are different. And so, how if you have someone that you love and you go, oh my God, so I love this person. She's so amazing and she's so kind. And actually you're assuming that everyone can see what you can see. And then other people go, actually, I think she's a bitch. And you're like, what? Are we talking about the same person? Because that person will behave differently with you than they do with another person. And so depending on the behavior you get, like I've got friends where I think they're the most glorious, friendly people in the world, but I have seen the way they have behaved to other people, and I can totally see why people can't see that side of them. And it's like, and my response is always, oh, I'm really sorry you haven't had that experience, because my experience of that person is beautiful. And I love the question, what's your experience of that person? Oh, my experience of that person is they're very intolerant, they're rude, they never give me the time of day. And the story might be that person's intimidated by them, and that's why they're like that. I don't know. But there's so much complexity behind all of our interactions as humans. And so even when we're in conflict, even when you're on the other side of someone, I think it's a really nice idea to look at it and go, what are they thinking? What are they experiencing? And I often, when I'm working with people, and I quite often end up actually, my life looks like it's all fucking fun and games and laughing on stage, but quite often I get to do difficult conversations with people in difficult situations. And I really enjoy that. I consider myself I'm a very curious problem solver. I love to solve problems. And one of my favorite questions to people is, and what do they think they feel? And they're like, what? I don't fucking care. I don't care what they feel. I'm like, okay, just imagine you did care for a moment. What do you think they feel? What's their response? How do they see this? Blah, 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 blah. And it's always interesting, isn't it? Always interesting to look at something from someone else's perspective, and to just imagine you get up and go to the other side of the room and go, well, from over here, this looks like, or from over there, that looks like. And I think what's the other people's experience of situations, of you, of other people, if you can take the time to consider the other person's idea and expectation, I think it makes you more well-rounded. And it's something I think we should remind each other of all the time. And I'm always like, someone will be like, oh my God, this person was really mean to me. And I'm like, oh wow. How do you think they were feeling? And they're like, I don't care. I'm like, oh no, but imagine being them. And they're like, oh yeah, no, they felt like they weren't included and that's why they behaved badly. Oh no, I get it now. That's why she was such a bitch. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, why do you think that person? And it is exhausting, always looking at the other side, but it's a really nice way to look on an empathetic level at situations, I think. And just get under a problem, look down on top of a problem, look at it from the back, from the side, look at people from different angles and be generous. Just imagine for a moment someone's really pissed you off. But I think being able to put yourself into a situation of generosity and go, if I'm being really fucking generous, what is this person's problem? And you're like, oh, they're sad. Now, you might not care because you're pissed off, but actually they're sad. And then you go, oh, there's a sad human out there. And then you're like, actually, that's not my problem. It's not my problem you're sad because you're an idiot. You pissed me off. You behave badly. So I'm not going to fucking run around after you and fix your sad. So it may not be your problem to fix their sad, but I think just acknowledging how they're feeling is kind of useful and it's good for the human condition. And I really love Thich Nhat Hanh, a beautiful monk. He's got this lovely quote that understanding is love's other name. And I think even if you don't feels, sometimes you don't want to love people, or you love them, but you don't like them. But understanding is love's other name. I love that. So maybe try shoe shifting and see how that goes for you. Bye.